Welcome to the City of Beavercreek's Department of Parks and Recreation and Culture Board. And first thing we're going to do is have roll call, or call to order. I'm sorry. So it's called to order. Now can we do roll call? You can tell I don't do this.
Mrs. Fulcher,
Here.
Mrs. Bidigari,
Present.
Mrs. Meyer,
Here.
Mrs. Heaton, and Mr. Corbett are not with us this evening.
All right, if you'll take a look at our agenda from last meeting. This is our agenda. So if you'll take a look at our agenda and see if there's anything there that you would like to change or add.
I motion to accept. Second.
Thank you. Now we'll look at our meetings from our minutes from our last meeting, and if there are any changes, then if not, then we need to have approval for it.
I motion to accept. Second.
Thank you. All right, first thing on our agenda, real quick, is our division report, and that.
Good evening. All right, so we're here for January of 2022 already. It's hard to believe. So here with the division report, starting off with the senior center, and you'll notice that the new division reports are just going to focus on some of the highlights, and we'll discuss kind of some of the new format of the park board meetings coming up here in new business. Coming up at the senior center is the Super Bowl luncheon on Friday, January 28th, starting at noon. Show your team spirit and wear your favorite team jersey or shirt, and kick off the luncheon with a meal that will include soup, sandwich, a side, and a dessert. And then after lunch, join in to play games. And that's at the senior center. So if you're interested, please register ahead of time. Also going on over at the senior center this time of year, which is very popular, is our tax preparation. We'll be offering this service by volunteers from the VITA program, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. We will start accepting calls for appointments beginning on January 18th, and the first appointments begin January 31st. And one of the announcements I noticed came out from the federal government was the tax return beginning to file your taxes, I believe 2 weeks earlier this year. You can start filing taxes January 24th. So this is right to start off the tax season. Moving on to recreation, highlight one of our favorite events we have in the winter, and that's the Winter Welcome at Wardinger Park, where we have the park and cabins are all decorated from December 6th through January 2nd. And we have an awesome in-person event on Saturday, December 18th that we had, where crafts, there were carolers, there was Santa, reindeer, cookies and cocoa, and we had over 400 people attend. This was a very popular event 2 years ago. It was modified a bit last year because of COVID, and this year we brought it back. We brought both the events together and had one big event that kind of combined the previous 2 years' success. And I want to give a special thanks to the Beavercreek Community Library, the Beavercreek Historical Society, American Legion Post 763, the Kiwanis Club of Beavercreek, and the Green Optimist Club. An event going on right now, granted we get some snow, is Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And this event's been going on for several years. It runs from the beginning of December through February 19th. And when the white stuff falls, be sure to capture some photos of all the snowmen or snow creatures or whatever kind of snow animal you want to create, and send those into the parks at beavercreekohio.gov. And then voting for your favorite snowman or creature begins February 22nd and runs for a week. Moving on to parks, I want to highlight a project our staff is working on at Virgo Park. And they are working on highlights from what was identified in our Parks Master Plan. And I know it's hard to read that photo there on the left, but that's a printout of our Parks Master Plan for Virgo Park. And some of the things that plan called out for is what our staff is working on. So we're replacing the fence around the playground, adding an extra rung so that it's a little bit safer for the kiddos around the playground, installing a gravel walking path around the perimeter of the park, replacing the pedestrian bridge way at the back of the park, which many people may not even know about. And there's an extra small shelter at the back of the park that perimeter walking path will take you past. And then adding in ADA access to the shelter and the ball diamond. And this next slide here shows you kind of a concept of some of what the master plan is calling for at Virgo Park. So obviously some of the things like the parking lot improvements, and in the center there is a dog park. Those are not happening right at this time. But you can see the perimeter path around the park, as well as ADA access to the shelter and the ball diamonds. Those are being added at this time. And next we're going to move on to our 2022 goals for our division. So starting out with parks, we're going to continue working on our second year of our ADA transition plan. Replace 2 playgrounds this year, the first one being at Royal Point Park. It'll be a complete playground replacement. And then replace the smaller toddler playground at Shout Park. The larger play structure there was replaced back about 5 or 6 years ago. We're going to work on developing a master plan for the new research parkland. Develop hiking trails at Cinnamon Ridge Park, which hiking trails was one of the top few things that our community called for in our master plan just a few years ago. So we've added some hiking trails at Lefino Park, at Fox Run Park. We're adding the perimeter path at Virgo. One of the goals this upcoming year as well is to add trails at Cinnamon Ridge. And also with Virgo Park is creating a neighborhood connection. So on the south side of the park, there's a easement that connects into the neighborhood, where we're going to provide concrete sidewalks so that neighbors in that or residents in that neighborhood can access the park instead of having to drive all the way around. Moving on to recreation, we want to continue to partner with the Beavercreek City Schools for summer camp. That's at Fairview Elementary and Fox Run Park. That has been a wonderful partnership, and we hope to continue that again this upcoming summer. Complete our cost recovery policy and define cost recovery goals for recreation programs and facilities. And this is something we've worked very hard on and are excited to roll out this year. We're also planning on creating a list identifying grant opportunities for recreation programs. To continue with recreation, we want to expand on our cultural arts programming with at least one new cultural arts event or program. And also add in a classic movie in the parks to our event offerings. We have great success with our current movie in the park, but we've had some suggestions to add a classic movie in the park, so we're excited to be able to offer that this year. And we also want to determine some nature education programs for our division. And moving on to the Senior Center, we want to use our 2021 survey results to bring at least 3 new programs and classes that were requested in survey responses to the members of the Senior Center. Also, similar to recreation, we want to identify potential grant funding for Senior Center capital improvement projects and recruit 10 new volunteers to assist with Senior Center transportation. That is a fantastic program that could not happen without all of the volunteers, and so we want to be proactive, making sure we have plenty of drivers and escorts to be able to continue that awesome program many years into the future. Continue on with Senior Center. We want to improve the marketing of Senior Center programs and classes and explore rebranding to reach a younger demographic of seniors in the community. And again, the Senior Center, you can be a member there starting at age 55. We want to attend at least 3 networking events to market the Senior Center. And finally, assist in the development of cost recovery policy, defining cost recovery goals for Senior Center programs, activities, and events. So you can see the theme here with recreation and Senior Center, kind of following cost recovery, grant funding, really trying to mesh these 2 areas of the division together and find, more grant opportunities and again with the cost recovery. And then overachieving divisional goals, we want to create an employee recognition program within the Parks, Recreation, and Senior Center staff. Develop a seasonal employee recruitment program, and this is something that I think will truly be a benefit to us because in years past, we've used to get a lot of applications in for seasonal employment. And just the other day, I sent a memo on to HR to post for the seasonal positions for this upcoming year. And we have 22 seasonal positions we have available in parks maintenance and public service seasonal maintenance, very similar roles. Last year, we only received 16 applicants for those 22 available positions. So we've just seen dwindling numbers for seasonal staff, just like every other industry. So we want to try to create some sort of recruitment program to attract some of these people to these positions. And then we want to continue working with the park board to expand relationships with our partner groups. And that's what I had for the division report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Yes?
So the path at First Legal Park, what's the projected finish date on that?
So at this time, the path the turf has been removed around the perimeter of the park as far as where the path is going to be. We just need to wait for the ground to freeze to be able to install the gravel. We don't want to tear up the park and get trucks stuck back in there. So as soon as the ground is frozen, so hopefully over the next several weeks, we should be able to get in there, install the gravel, and have that path open. Also, the pedestrian bridge, we removed the decking and the railings from the old bridge. The telephone pole supports are coming tomorrow, and our staff will be able to start building the new bridge as soon as we have that material in. So hopefully it's done within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, that sounds good. Did I see that it's a mile-long path, or did I read that somewhere else?
It's going to be about a half mile.
Half mile.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Has the update at the senior center at the workout room been completed?
Yeah, the flooring? Yeah, the senior center flooring has been completed, and I was in there a couple weeks back, and it's really nice.
Can you address what your intentions are for the capital improvement projects at the senior center?
Yeah, so this year, are you referring to like grant opportunities? Yeah, I would have to check with Tyler. I can certainly get with Tyler and then provide you that information. I'm not sure specifically what grants Tyler is looking at exploring at the senior center. You do know we receive the Greene County Council on Aging grant every year, which helps senior center operations. And then every several years, we receive another grant through Greene County Council on Aging for the purchase of a van. But I think we're looking for other opportunities for making facility upgrades and improvements around the center itself. I don't know specifically at this time what grant opportunities they're looking for.
Is there an intention to expand the size of the senior center?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so moving on now to old business. Did anybody have anything as far as the old business goes?
Can you give us an update of the status of the new park land purchase by Patterson and Grange Hall?
Yeah, so the current status for the new parkland, we have not closed. So prior to closing on the parkland, we have to do a phase 1 environmental study, and city staff is working on scheduling all of that to have that completed. Once we receive that study back, then we'll be able to close on the property, which over the next several months. Back before Christmas, Kim, myself, and Mike reviewed some of the RFQs that we received for the vendors to do the master plan and reviewed that. And I believe we're close to signing a contract with a vendor for the master plan.
So according to the goals then, the plan is to, in 2022, do more of the planning phase of this, and then in 2023, perhaps some of the actual development. Is that correct?
Yeah, so to kind of backtrack a little, in 2019, when we had the master plan completed, the community identified one of the needs to add more parkland preserved green space within the community. That was, a big reason for purchasing this parcel of land. It's one of the last few large parcels of land left in the city of Beavercreek. So that went back to the 2019 master plan. The 2022 master plan will really nail down specifically what does the community want in this new park. And in the 2019 master plan, there was a needs assessment done identifying things such as dog parks and splash pads and more athletic fields and walking trails. And so those are the things that this consultant will do as they put together this master plan, is get all of the community feedback, user groups, and find out what the community wants and needs in this park. And then once we have that plan of what we want to do, we can put together a plan as far as a phase of development, funding. It's a multi-year process. If you can only imagine, you can spend a little bit of money or you can spend a lot of money developing parkland. It just depends what you're going to put in there. So it's just a matter of putting that plan together and then putting a plan into place. Yeah.
Thank you, Zach. All right, new business. And the first thing that we have is volunteer opportunities. Zach, are you aware of anything?
Yeah, the main one I wanted to touch on, and it was one of our divisional goals, was senior center transportation. So if anybody knows, anybody looking for a great volunteer opportunity, please reach out, not only just in general at the senior center, but within our transportation operations. Like I said, we want to try to get 10 new volunteers within transportation this year, whether that's driving the vans or escorts. It's a really fun volunteer opportunity, so if you're interested, please reach out to the Senior Center. And then also touch base just on any Eagle Scouts, Girl Scouts that are looking for projects, National Honor Society, any of these groups that need volunteer hours. Certainly please reach out to our office, or any service groups or church groups that are looking for volunteer projects coming up in the spring or summer. Please reach out to our office and we'd be happy to work with you.
Great.
I have a question about transportation volunteers. Do they use their own vehicles or do they always use vehicles that belong to the city? And how do you address insurance?
Yeah, it's all of our city vehicles, and they go through a volunteer process. Like there's an application, they do the background check, the drug screening. They're almost like and they're treated more as an employee than a volunteer, and they do fall under city insurance, just like anyone driving a city vehicle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and the next thing we have is staff reports, and we don't have any speakers rescheduled, so are we just talking about
Yeah.
our no?
Yeah, so one of the things I briefly touched on at the beginning of the meeting was changing up the format a bit of our park board meetings to where we present on a staff report of a topic, such as, the master plan, our strategic plan, the ADA transition plan, cost recovery, budgeting, and we present on a topic and then have more of an open discussion with the park board on that topic. We will share those topics with you in advance. You can review them. If you have any, specific detailed questions, we can certainly have some more information prepared for you come time for the park board meeting. But then it just allows us to touch base on different areas within our division, and we'll be presenting on those to you monthly starting in March. And then we also want to start bringing in some pre-scheduled speakers throughout the year. And I think is one of our goals to have the park board work with some of our user groups and other groups in the community, so we can bring in groups like the Beavercreek Wetlands Association, Greene County Council on Aging, Owens Place, and certainly if you guys have suggestions on topics you want to hear about, or maybe some groups or speakers you want to hear from, please share those with us, and we can certainly try to do that. But again, we're trying to bring in some groups as well, just to open up some dialogue and discussion.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Zach is,
Oh, sorry, Candy. How are you going to advertise these topics? For example, if people in the community are interested in ADA compliance in the parks, how would they know ahead of time that that's going to be the topic discussed on that particular meeting day?
We can certainly look at, posting that through social media, or, through our monthly emails that go out. Also, all of our meetings are recorded and are on YouTube, so if the public wanted to listen afterwards, they could as well. And certainly they can certainly schedule a meeting or a phone call with our staff. We could share at that time as well.
But they're invited to participate in the meeting as well.
Absolutely.
Zach, will those be in place of the division reports or in addition to?
They will be in addition to. And the division reports, as you recall, in the past have typically been a little bit longer and more detailed, kind of hammering down every little detail that our staff or every event and program, from yoga all the way to our bigger events that we've covered. Mm-hmm. And so you're just going to see a little bit of more of a snapshot of some of the highlights. Certainly, if you want more information on any of the smaller programs or events or smaller projects, we can certainly discuss those. But we're going to just touch base on some of the highlights and then allow time for discussion with the staff report.
Sounds good. All right.
Yeah, I like that too. All right, moving on. I don't see any unscheduled visitors. Anybody have any action items?
Did you miss expiring park board terms or?
I think that agenda went out before.
It did.
I had removed that. So
okay.
Yeah, and we can chat about that real quick. I think Candy, you were the only one who has an expiring term the end of February. So if you are interested in reapplying for park board, just go onto our city website and then reapply for that. And you would be eligible for another 3-year term, should council select that.
That's,
Did you have something on action items?
So we're planning this volunteer recognition event, and it's going to be face-to-face for those who are comfortable with that. And we're landing on a day in April, and this will be an ice cream social. And there's going to be some other additional prizes and a few speakers. So for those who are volunteers, you will be receiving information about that event in the next, I will say, month.
Yeah, with that, if you are a coach of one of the sports teams or something, whoever is in charge of that group is who will get the invitation. And then from there, they will pass that out to you. So just because you don't get one and you're a coach, that doesn't mean that you're not invited. It just means that we just send one to your, the director of that sport.
I checked with Kim, just in case any, like the ice cream social, if there's anybody who can't have sugar or is watching different things, I found some alternatives so that they can still come and have something to eat. So I don't want anybody to think just because it's an ice cream social and they can't have ice cream, they shouldn't come.
That's right. We need everybody to come that volunteers, because this community would not be what it is without all of our volunteers. So, yes. Thank you. All right, on to board time. And we'll start with Candy. Do you have anything for our board time?
I think all my questions have been answered.
All right.
I'm good, thanks.
How about you, Cecilia?
I don't have a lot to say. I was at Wartinger Park, and it was real nice with the holiday decorations. I hope people had the opportunity to do that. It's an annual event, so I'm sure it's kind of fun to see the competition between the community groups as they decorate the different buildings there. And I'm just saying I'm really looking forward to these, our new format and discussing some of the topics. And I hope the community is energized and comes to these meetings and participates and gives us their opinion about the various topics that affect them.
Absolutely. I agree. If we get snow, don't forget to send in your snowman or your igloo or whatever you decide to make, because that is a very fun event that we do every year. So make sure you do that. Anything else?
Can you comment a little bit about the parks in the winter and what's open and available for folks?
Yeah, so our parks are never closed, so they're always open. So even if it's cold, it still provides plenty of opportunities to get out there and play, even if you bundle up. So whether you're still going out to the playgrounds, using the tennis courts or pickleball courts, or though any walking trails, those are all certainly open year-round. I do want to touch base on Creekside Trail, the bike path. That is always open as well. But when we do get snow or inclement weather, it is not maintained or plowed. Greene County Parks and Trails maintains that, so it does provide opportunity for cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, or even just going out through a walk with the snow. So just be cautious of the bike trap path. In the winter months, even when the snow melts and refreezes, it can get slippery. But other than that, the parks are open.
Does the parks ever make cross-country skiing trails when there is snow?
We have not, to my knowledge, ever done that.
Okay, then the other question I had was about the Pickle Pals, and this is a group who's trying to fund some pickleball courts over at Lefino Park. Can you comment on that, please?
Yeah, so we've talked to Kim this morning. We've received nearly $15,000 in donations for the pickleball courts. And today I just spoke with the contractor to get on the schedule to resurface the pickleball courts at Lefino. And so it's going to be the two northern courts. The two southern courts are already lined for pickleball, but use the standard tennis nets. The two northern courts are going to be completely resurfaced. We'll still have tennis, and the tennis nets will still be permanent, but we'll also have lines for 6 temporary pickleball courts on those two north courts, of the two tennis courts. So there'll be 3 pickleball courts on each half of those sides. And the tennis nets will kind of serve as a backstop. And then there will be 6 temporary nets that we'll have in a job box there so that people can come and set up those temporary pickleball nets if they want to come play pickleball, or take them down if there's a tennis match going on. The timeline to have that completed with the contractor is sometime in the middle or end of June. So they can't even start any of their projects till usually mid-May when it's warm enough, and they have a few projects still kind of left on their docket from last year. So that's the current timeline, but yeah, we're planning on moving forward with that. Yes. There is some money budgeted that the city will probably kick in to help finish that. I think the total for all of the resurfacing is right around $22,000 or $23,000, and then to purchase the nets and some other add-ons like some paddles and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We worked you hard tonight. We worked you hard tonight, Zach. Thank you. All right. If there's nothing else, then we need to move for adjournment.
A motion?
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned.